joining me, and I am going to be doing a discussion on rider biomechanics and how you as a rider create your horse. My assistant who will be joining me is Callie Johnson. She is my working student and groom. Woo, Callie! I'm going to start with your body position. And we've all heard a million different ways. So body position is obviously number one when it comes to riding your animal and creating what you want out of your horse. But how in depth is it? It's really not as complicated as everybody would like it to seem, because a horse truly mimics our body, and everything we do on them is a match. So as a rider, your position, you don't have to carry that right now, means everything. So if a horse can feel a fly, they can feel you in every ounce of weight that you put on them, whether it's good or it's bad. So when you're on a horse
First time I've seen it.
and you sit just normal, slouched, and just kind of relaxed, your position, your relaxed, comfortable position is still saying something to the horse, even though we're not really riding it anymore, okay? But to them, they're saying, I'm relaxed, I'm just going along, right? So everything you do, every movement, every ounce you make is a story to them. It tells them how, what, why, and where. And if you do too much, which most eats back and forms, our legs, our position, that is too much noise for a horse. And as beautiful and wonderful as our horses are, they're not necessarily the top most intelligent animal. We love them, but the more noise we make, the more they have to try to understand, which creates anxiety, worry, frustration, which can lead to aggressiveness, bucking, bolting, rearing, because some horses internalize, they wait, they get ulcers, they get colicky, they get worried. Some horses externalize, they bolt, they buck, they rear, they get angry. So the less we can do to frustrate them and make our aids very clear and concise is what makes your animal do more. So I come across this a lot with clients. They have too much bit on the horse, too much spur, too much whip, too much this, and the horse is dull to the age, or it's frantic and hot and worried and nervous. I'm a very tall girl, I'm 6'1". I don't ride spurs on any of my horses because my aids are very clear. And you have to work on that. You have to be precise on how you do that. And you have to do it over and over and over and over again. And what happens with most riders is they change the aid consistently. So the horse moved, okay? So the horse threw its head up in the air, her hand followed the horse. So now the aid changed, all right? Because she was loose in her back and in her core, and she followed. The horse pulled its head right, she pulled the head right, okay, that was left, other right, and she followed the horse. But who's the rider and who's the horse? So your job as a rider, as a trainer, is to not follow the animal, is to guide. Sometimes firmly, sometimes clearly, with a very quick release of tension. But when the horse reacts in a bad way, as long as it's not dangerous or aggressive, you just hold consistent the pressure and you ignore the bad. When a rider just rides relaxed, loose in her back, okay, and doesn't have connection, I'm gonna try to do this and hold a microphone and wear a bridle at the same time. So this is gonna be really cool. This is gonna be skills. All right. Here I go. Through the reins. Maybe I can do it this way. That works better. All right. So her normally just riding very loose and very relaxed. I'm gonna be the horse. This is the bits, okay? And she just rides sloppy, just be like loose, all right? Now don't let me pull you forward riding loose. She follows, sorry. She follows the horse, right? She loses her grip, she loses her contact in the seat. Your seat is everything. The strength in your back and your core, here and here, is much stronger than you ever have in your wrist or your elbow. Your strength as a human is in your back, your core, and your leg. So now my students, I tell them to act like I could throw a ball at them and they could resist the ball. So push your belly out to my hand, okay? And then think about pushing your back straight and your seat bones down into the saddle, and your elbows stay on your hips and your sternum tall, okay? Now hold that position, pressing your seat bones into the saddle, and use your core. I can go pretty firm on her and she's not going anywhere. Now, if your horse spooks, wouldn't you like to have that position? Then follow the horse and be on the ground. So as a rider, it's our job to kind of be an athlete as well and carry ourselves. The horse needs to carry themselves. We need to carry ourselves. So first position is knowing how to anchor your back and your seat bones into the animal. And you can still be soft and loose to a point, but you need to be able to engage your core and engage your back to have the resistance you need when the horse should pull their hand up. Her hand shouldn't follow the horse's head. It should be resistant. The moment I give, she's soft to me. I have no pressure. I resist again. She does not follow my hand. It's soft when I'm soft, all right? The horse has to take responsibility as well for their actions. So you don't follow. They come to you. They create lightness by understanding that, hey, here's what's being asked of me. She's not pulling on me, but if I pull on her, I will be met with resistance. But the moment I soften and I don't pull or root at the bit or grab and yank or throw my body sideways, she's light, she's soft. She can come forward and pet me on the neck and tell me what a great guy I am, girl I am, okay? So as a rider, the strength in your body and the clearness of your core and your back create a lot of message. What happens with a lot of riders is they override their horse. I'll see them walking and they're really walking on their horse. Their seat is really moving. That's very taxing on the horse's back, okay? That's a lot of movement now the horse has to carry extra beyond themselves. You're not really helping the horse walk forward. You're kind of getting in the way of the energy. Energy has to go somewhere, okay? Just like anything else in the world. So I bet you've all seen riders riding along and they're trotting. They're trying to sit a trot. And some riders are riding like this, right? The heads are going everywhere. Their arms are going everywhere. Maybe just their chest is going everywhere. The butt's going everywhere. Or the leg is going everywhere, right? It's one of those you're seeing. That's because the energy of the horse is going in the rider. And it's coming out of the rider. Because there's looseness in the core and they're not creating the energy back into the horse. The goal as a rider is taking that energy they're riding through you and you putting it back into the legs of the horse and creating straightness, forwardness, connection, impulsion, okay? But looseness, thinking we're helping by being really too soft, doesn't really help in the way of we're not guiding, we're following. We're just going, okay, sure, wherever you're going, I'm going along with. But that doesn't help a horse that is a very sensitive creature that looks for guidance, looks for their lead mare, right? Because that's what you are as their owner. You are their lead. And if you don't take lead control, guess who will? They will, especially if you own a mare, and I own nothing but mares. So you have forgiving, stern, and soft. So you have to let them know what you're saying at all times, and everything you say means something. And you have accountability for your seat, your leg, your core, your actions. It all means something. So for her as a rider, her weight means a lot, okay? Her pelvis, her seat bones mean a lot. So most of you, I hope, would know what your seat bones look like and your pubic bone looks like, all right? Looks like this, okay? Pubic bone, left seat bone, right seat bone, okay? That's what you're sitting on. So the way I try to describe it is some people ride on just their seat bones, okay, back here. Some people ride just on their pubic bone, way up here. Neutral is right in the middle, right? Neutral is when I can take these reins and she can anchor in, okay? A driving seat is sitting more on the base of your seat bones without slouching. So the sternum stays up, the core is strong, but her seat bones engage the driving aid of a horse. So when I apply my seat bones, my horse knows forward. If I go to neutral, it just means I'm here. I'm riding, working, trot, free walk, nice, and I'm here. If the horse is being resistant, maybe sticky, ignoring the aid, the only way to fix that is forward. You know, the horse has a problem, what do you see people do? Grab the rein, pull the horse back, turn the horse around. No, the only way to fix a problem is with forward. And most people ride the horse too slow, too backed off. A horse can't relax when the rhythm is not there. And the number one way a horse is not relaxed is because the rhythm is not clear. So if you ever see a horse getting frantic with a rider, or even frantic out in the pasture, do they have rhythm? Do they have clearness of gait? No, they're all over the place, right? Their heads are up, they're worried, their legs are going every other direction. There's no relaxation because there's no rhythm. So rhythm is the key to creating relaxation in your horse, harmony in your horse. When relaxation is there, the stretch can occur through the horse's back. The horse can elongate the neck, release the shoulders, lift the wither, supple the back, and drive the hind end under, and now carry their own body. Not by you pulling on the rein, pulling it back, yanking the horse, and trying to force them into a position, but bringing your hand forward, maybe applying a little driving pressure, closing your leg and saying, go to my hand, find it, here it is. You might have to guide them for a second. They might be young, they might be looky, they might be whatever, but you just guide them. So your position, knowing where am I? Am I on my pubic bone, my neutral, my left seat bone, my right seat bone? Means everything to a horse, okay? They follow you exactly. So guess what? You drop this shoulder and your hip goes like this, and everybody is pulling this way. Where does that horse go? Is it following the hand? No, it's going like this, far away. Why? Because the shoulder has dropped and the hip weight has gone this way. And people can pull that horse like crazy and that horse is not going to follow because they don't have to follow their nose. They have to follow their shoulders, okay? So the shoulders are guided by your hips and your shoulders. So if I want my horse to bend or turn right, everything in me has to come right. So her hip, like this, and her weight. Okay? So the alignment, she is still centered with the saddle, but the hip points, the shoulder points, and everything in you, so watch my legs, turns. I left nothing behind for that horse to guess where I'm going because everything said, here's some leg pressure, here's some weight, here's my hips, here's my shoulders, and here's my hands. I didn't leave anything out, okay? So I could do that on a 3-year-old. It's never been ridden, and they will exactly follow me because they only understand weight, pressure, release. A bit does very little. A bit does a couple things. You can pull it left, you can pull it right, you can let go of it, and you can pull on it. That's a pretty small thing to tell the horse to do a lot of stuff. So this is what has to tell them everything. This is just a guide. This is a backup plan. The inside rein only creates bend. That's the only job of an inside rein. The outside rein's job is to align the horse from the outside hip all the way to the bit, okay? It's a straight line. And if you don't have control over the shoulders and the hips, you don't have a horse. It doesn't matter how much you pull on it, how much bit you put on it, how much spur, how much you whack it, it's not going to bend because your mechanics are telling the horse wrong from the only thing he knows to understand. So you simplify it by making sure everything in you points the horse where to go. By doing that, she naturally applies left leg pressure. She gives an opening leg. This leg is soft. I can just pull it away. And it tells the horse and everything in her body, come this way, come around. And if you're a little bit resistant because you're looking or you're stiff, I can help guide you. I can bend you. But I am asking you with all of me to come. Okay? So this is what creates bend, what creates straightness. I can't tell you how many times I tell my students the two hardest things you'll ever ride is straight and a circle. And they laugh at me and then they go try to ride it and the horse looks like it had too many eggnogs going down the diagonal because it can't walk a straight line. Why? Because the rider doesn't know how to hold themselves. They're following the horse everywhere it goes. And the horse needs guidance. So you kind of ride like you're in a little box and you say very clearly, my hips are here, my knees are here, my toes are here, my chest is here, and we're going that way. And they can try to go everywhere else, but you say, nope, I'm holding you. So if you hit this leg, you're gonna feel pressure. You hit this leg, you're gonna feel pressure. If you try to go that way, I have a driving seat, you can't go backwards. So I'm here not fighting with them. I'm just saying, here I am, you know, and they will learn in time to follow. You don't want to fight with the horse. Ignore the bad, reward the good. Unless it's dangerous, then tell them to knock it off, you know, because they can't learn that either. So how you use your body, having control, is a big thing, and not letting the horse out of holes, okay? So you want to turn. I see this one a lot. This is Callie's favorite move with me as my student. And then we do the broken wrist and the elbow out here, and she tries to bring the horse that way, and Val goes not that way. So I tell her all the time, outside rein, close the outside door. Anything you leave open, guess what? Your horse is gonna find a way out of, right? Because they're sneaky and they don't wanna work so hard and they think it's a lot easier to go the other direction. Most of the time, when you start riding the horse clear and concise, you will start finding the problems. The problems mechanically that's wrong with your horse. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Every horse is left or right-sided. Every horse has a weakness, a struggle, a tension throughout their back. So the horse obviously has a neck all the way down to the tail. They have two ligaments that run through the top of the pole, goes all the way down the neck, over the wither to the croup, each side of them, right? So as a rider, your job, there we go, let's get this right, is to ride the correct ligament, okay? So if you try to turn this way and she sits on the wrong ligament, which a lot of people do, because the horse is good at swapping you. I'm sure you've all had that very plunky horse you've ridden, and that horse knows how to always move the saddle to the left because they're chunky, and they just go, nope, you're sitting over here, and then I don't have to turn because I'm fat, and I can just let you go over here. So I have one of those mares in training right now, and I'm like standing in the stirrup because she's so good at going like this to me. So when you sit on the wrong ligament, think about somebody on your back. You're sitting here and somebody presses this ligament, okay? And you put all your weight here and you want to turn this way. The horse has no choice but to fall, right? To put the weight on the outside hind leg and not be able to carry the weight on the inside leg, which is active and creates bend. If your inside leg is too short, it's too slow, it's not creating length of stride, you create inside bend tension, always. And you can pull as hard as you want on that horse, but it doesn't matter if you're sitting on the wrong side. The moment you sit on the correct side of the horse and you would bend your body a little bit and you would just sit there with some contact, your horse will naturally bend his neck like this. You can go home and do it, and they will always do it. Okay, if she switches to sit on the other seat bone, no, don't move your shoulders. Turn, there we go. Okay, the horse would naturally bend the neck this way. Okay, I wish I had a real horse, but I don't. Okay, so every time she switches sides and weight, the horse would change its neck. You can do this with any animal. You will see a flip. Okay, dependent on how built your horse's neck is or how weak the horse's neck is, their neck mane, if you had a very short mane, you would see the mane flip from one side to the other side. Okay, I like short manes on my young horses because I want to know I'm developing the neck really correct. Very clear, very equal on both sides of the neck. So when she does that and the neck flips, it might be a very small flip. On highly trained or muscular horses, you might see a very strong flip of the neck because those neck muscles are really built. The stallion's a great example for this. You'll see this mane go punk, punk over, okay? Again, that runs all the way down their back, all the way to their tailbone. And if you're sitting on the wrong side, what lead are they going to take? The wrong lead, you know? Are they going to leg yield? Probably not. Or they're going to fall or go the wrong direction. So if you don't have that, your basics aren't there, okay? And the only way to get the connection is through forwardness. So when you're riding, or I'm telling my students to ride, I always want them to look down at the neck once in a while. Make sure the horse has really changed position, okay? Their weight is right. I can see it immediately on the ground. And they could be riding it forever the wrong way, and I go, change, sit on the other side, and the horse will all of a sudden go into the shoulder in, go into a haunches in, whatever it is, okay? So now if the horse is really sticky, which I get a lot, they don't want to go forward. Her mare was a prime example of this. She'd throw the head up way up in the air, she'd get a little kind of up in the air, and she wouldn't want to go forward. And it was all because Callie would like to ride up here. And it was a reaction to what her mare would do. It's just a simple, you know, I'm nervous, I don't know how to handle it. So I told Callie, you have to ride through your core, here. Take her into your back. So your rein needs to feel like a seatbelt, okay? Goes all the way around. Hold on for a second. Your hips. You're gonna think I'm truly crazy. All right. And when you're riding, don't feel like you're going to take it through your wrist and your elbow. You have no strength there. You need to feel it through your back. That's where you have the strength, the pressure. Okay? I don't care how small you are. She's tiny compared to me. But when you can ride like that, when you can anchor yourself into a saddle against your horse, that horse needs a little bit of luck to get you out at that point, okay? Because they've got a whole lot of strength to go against. Now close your whole entire leg from the ankle to the hip and anchor yourself down, and you press the weight down. So a lot of people halt wrong, okay? We're working on this with her. You press the weight down into your hips. You make your weight kind of heavy. Sometimes you need to make your weight really heavy because that horse is going, la-di-da-di-da, I don't have to pay attention to you. I can move you around. Well, you make yourself feel like 300 pounds all of a sudden, they might wake up a little bit, okay? So if I have a very strong horse, I get a lot of very big warm bloods in and stallions in to train. I need to have them know I'm there and that my whoa means something. So when you want to really whoa a horse and you want to anchor in and they're trying to pull you, you better be really strong. But even that happened, she didn't fall forward, okay? That's something you practice a lot, of course. But if they go to take off, wouldn't it be nice to know you can anchor in and stop that animal, okay? So the other thing that becomes your half halt for a moment, right? It's just a moment. So a half halt is a squeeze and a release. But it has to come through your core, through your seat, to let the horse know, I'm here. But the true half halt that a lot of people mistake is, it's not the closing or the firmness of how strong you make the half halt. The true half halt is in the release of the half halt. the softness and the power you put back in the horse after you ask the horse to come back. A true half halt is not this. They don't fall and drop the wither. They pick up the wither and they create suspension. They come underneath themselves and they wait for you. They go, okay, I'm listening. Then you go, great, now take this energy that I put back in you because I'm riding correctly and send it that way. You know, how big or how high or how strong you want that, whether it's an extension, a passage, a piaffe, or a sliding stop as a reiner. A halt as a reiner is not a stop. Is that not a forward movement like the best you've seen? That's about 40 feet of a forward movement. If that horse learned to stick its weight in and didn't drop that hind quarter, that horse would stick its front feet in and that horse and rider would probably do a somersault, right? So those people know how to stop with their seat. And you see the best riders out there? Don't they give their hand really forward? Whoa. Before I got into dressage, I grew up in the quarter horse world, and I rode a lot of pleasure horses, and I fell in love with reiners, and I did reining for a while. So I learned some really cool tricks from reiners. That's actually helped me with some of my dressage work, and some of my dressage work really helps me with my reiners. But it's still forward. So when I tell a horse to whoa, whoa is not whoa, turn, fall, look around. I see this a lot on the lunge line. You know, they ask the horse to halt and the horse turns in. Whoa. 4 feet later, the horse finally whoaed. Whoa is whoa to me, you know, because everything you do on the ground translates to exactly what you ask from them under saddle, right? It has to be clear and defined every single time you ask it. It has to be the same way. It has to make sense. Because what you do down here, if I tell you to whoa and walk 3 steps, and you say whoa up under saddle, they don't know any different. You know, I get that a lot. You know, they come in, they whoa, and the horse turns, and they're on them. Well, they probably did that lunging too, you know. I say whoa, I want my horse to stand, wait, be patient. Go, okay, what's the next thing? Boom, we do it. So when you ask a horse to whoa, your weight should get down, very pressed down into your heels. Make yourself kind of heavy. Not slouchy, not loose, but strong and firm. And if I say whoa, okay, so think about this. The horse is still trotting forward. She now halted and whoaed her body, okay? The horse is still going. It whoaed, it felt a whoa. But she didn't pull back. She didn't yank. She didn't grab. She was just there. The energy of the horse continued on and felt all in her body long before that rein slack was taken, her seat, her back, her leg. So by the time it takes up the slack, it already felt whoa. By the time it gets here, that horse should know. Now, first couple times you do it, they're probably gonna have to wait to hear or go a little bit like that. But pretty quickly, you can take a very big, powerful horse and teach them to halt. Very clear and very concise. And that's what makes a square halt, and that's also what makes a reining stop. It doesn't matter, you know, the only difference here from a square halt, because she closed her body, to a reining halt, is she would stay a little bit in a driving seat, because it's continuing forward, right, in a reining halt, and she would give her arm forward to allow the energy to continue on for as long as that horse can slide, right? In a square halt for dressage, when we say whoa, it's right now, right under our bodies. From a canter to halt, to a trot to halt, to a passage to halt, doesn't matter. It's now, okay? So when you're riding, I want you guys to be really aware of where are you. And you ride every step. And every step you didn't think about, that horse did. And so whether you were riding it or not, they were still riding it, okay? And that you can relax. She's gonna fall over. So every time that you are just kind of chilling and just kind of forgetting and enjoying your leisure time, not that I'm saying don't enjoy your leisure time and go on trail rides and have a great time, but when you're training, when you're really trying to make that connection with your horse, be ready to commit to every step of the ride, because they are. And you know, the more unclear you are, the more frantic or worried or dull a horse gets, okay? So I have a lot of horses that come in, the people, my horse is really lazy, and they're just begging the horse to go, right? Spurs and whips, and the horse just doesn't go on. And I watch the rider, and the rider's making a whole bunch of noise on this animal, begging the animal to go. And the horse is like, ah-dee-da-dee-da-dee-da. I put the blinders on, all right? Lazier type horses will get dull very quickly because they can handle a lot, right? They don't get worried about stuff. So they just kind of tune you out and they go on with their day, and they're like, yeah, she's kind of saying something, but she just doesn't really ever get after me. Well, you can make a horse like that very sharp and tell them, hey, wake up. I'm going to ask you nicely. I'm going to ask you to close my leg, put my driving seat into you, and if you didn't respond by that light little pressure, tap. The moment they walk on, good boy, you're the best thing in the whole world. I love you to death. Softness, reward. I ask again lightly, little squeeze, little driving seat. The horse doesn't go on, little tap. The moment they walk on, you're the best boy in the whole world. Eventually, after 200,000 times of this, they get the idea that I need to walk on the moment your leg in your seat tells me something. So you can get them very sharp and very quick. And a hot horse, you can't override. You can't get a lot of motion on them because they're so reactive. And then people don't like a hot horse because they're too reactive for me. Well, they're reactive because they're in tune. They're wonderful horses to ride. I love hot horses because they're so ready to work. But you tell a lot of different verbiage on them and they're gonna go, I can't handle it. Oh my God, I'm gonna die. I can't do all this stuff. I can't handle it. And they get very neurotic, very worried, very upset. So you have to make things very simple, very clear. And a touchy horse, you have to make them deal with leg pressure. So you ride them with more leg because they have to accept you're there. Your leg is there. I'm not going to get squirrely and, upset. Lusitanos and Illusions are a lot more like that, even thoroughbreds, because, you can look at a thoroughbred and point and they go, that was enough pressure for me, Whereas maybe a Frisian, you could go, and they go, I like it. And they push into you, right? This felt great. I had a Frisian Percheron stallion for years. And he loved it. I mean, he was masochistic, I swear. He just loved the pain. I'm like, dude, get off my leg. So you have to learn what you have. So one, when you have a horse, what is your horse? What is their personality type? Their inherent personality type. Are they lazy? Are they hot? Are they tense? Are they worried? Are they very smart? Are they maybe not so smart? What is their personality? Then what is their conformation? Because you have to ride the animal also based on their conformation. If you don't ride the horse based on its conformation, you can do all the work you want, and it's not going to matter because you're going to build the wrong muscles. And every horse is different. And I have quite an eclectic group at my barn of horses. And actually, my top mare right now, who's a lovely horse and starting her Grand Prix movements, she is a thoroughbred paint. She is nothing super fancy. She was actually an oopsie-daisy, and this thoroughbred stallion jumped the fence and bred my really cute little white paint mare. And here's baby. And I'm going, oh God, what am I gonna do with this creature? This creature happens to be, I love this mare to death. She's wonderful, and she can move like you can't believe. And you can build gaits. And a good rider, a good trainer can learn to build gaits in an animal. You can take a horse that looks very basic, like my mare did, and very kind of, she's cute, but you don't go, whoa, and create gaits with clarity of your seat, of your position. And this little mare can passage and do things just like so cool. And then you can ride the gaits out. I see that a lot in my world, They go and they buy a fancy horse, but they don't really know how to ride, and they override the bit, and that very fancy horse looked very dull in about a year. So you can take a very nice horse with 3 nice gaits. They don't have to be super, just nice. Good clear walk, nice trot, nice rhythm. You got a good brain, and you can take them very far. I had a very cute little American paint horse, reigning bred, and I showed her all the way to the Prix St. George in Wellington. This mare could do tempies like you couldn't believe, and she thought she was the biggest horse there. She really did. And she was just the cutest little button. I sold her as a junior young rider horse. But have fun with what you have. Everybody thinks, I need a fancy dressage horse. Dressage is just training. It's just how you ride, how good your position is, you know, and you can take anything and develop a superb relationship with it if you're patient and you're willing to listen and be clear and concise. And I tell you, the one thing I tell my students is learn to do less. Sit there, be quiet, stop moving, stop overriding your animal, wait, be patient, they will figure it out. But if you keep changing the aid and changing your movement and changing your position, you never created an aid. You changed it over and over and over again, and that's what makes a horse crazy. They don't like it, okay? So just think about that when you're on your horse the next time. What are you saying and what does it mean? Because it means everything to them. Well, I probably have my time up, or they're going to kick me off stage here soon, because I'm good at talking for a while once I get going. But I hope you liked what you heard, and my booth is 102. If you'd like to come and ask me questions, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. And Callie, she can attest to how horrible I am to her and how I abuse her every day as her trainer. And we'd love to talk with you. And I'll be here tomorrow, I think, doing a demonstration as well. Thank you guys. Happy holidays.